said, look what just walked through that door. Well, hello, T-R-O-U-P-L-E. Tell me what in the world you're doing there on me. I said, hey, L-double-O-K-I-N-G. Well, I smell T-R-O-U-P-L-E. Still practicing that song. I kind of messed up the rhythm a little bit in the beginning. But let's break it down for a second. So this song, the whole song does the three chords C major, G major, and D major. That's the chords that it uses. So the verses go an 8 count for C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then a count of G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it goes D, C, and G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on that last chord, it does an 8 count. 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you probably noticed that you're not used to using chords, or maybe you're not a guitarist yourself. Johnny, you said there's only 3 chords, but your hand is going all over the place. Well, there's multiple ways to do each chord. So, for instance, this is the C chord, the C major chord right here. Right? So is this. Technically, it's supposed to be like that. But I've decided that I actually want to take the B string out of it. So it's instead of a 6-string chord like that, it's just a 5-string chord. You don't need to know that, but it goes along with what we're talking about today. I decided to do that because of the sound that it makes. This is the whole modification and kind of messing around with the positioning of the chords, because I like trying to play the songs relatively how the original is done, but sometimes I want to liven it up or give it a little more dynamics. And for a song like this, where it's very simple chord structure, you actually have freedom to kind of jump around and do things differently. For instance, this is the G major chord, which pops up in the song a lot, but you can also decide to, you've got the B string and the E string here on the top, and you can decide to do the G major chord and lift your middle finger or ring finger off of the B string. And you probably can't hear it too much, but it does change the mood of the chord. These are all preferences. These are all things that you do because you want to. They're not necessarily required or needed for the song. You can just play the song straight. It's C, G, and D, and you can just play those chords straight and throughout the whole song, and it sounds fine, and that's great. But if you want to add kind of flourishes, or if you want to add a different mood to it, let's break down the verse for a second. So, well, I play an old... I'm going to slow it down so that you can hear what I'm doing. Well, I play an old guitar from 9 till 1:30. Now, the G chord that I'm playing right here, I'm actually, with my left hand, I'm palm muting the high E, so you don't hear it at all. And I'm keeping the B string open. It's not technically a G major, but it still counts as a G major. I do that because the vocal line goes down, and I wanted to kind of keep the music following that trend. Whereas if I played it straight, well, I played an old guitar from 9 till 1:30. You can hear you can hear those high notes ringing. And again, totally fine if you want to keep those, but me personally, I wanted to keep the listener's ear on the lower notes that are happening in the chord. And what next? Oh, and then when we get to the chorus, instead of doing, because it's the same chord progression, even the same timing, or the same rhythm, even though the vocal rhythm changes a little bit. So you do the C, and then you do the G, and it's on an 8 count, and then you do the D, C, G on a 4 count. But I took it up here because I wanted to, well, first off, I changed from the downstrokes, which have a very percussive and rhythmic kind of like punk almost feeling to it, and I changed to big strums. Now these strums give a fuller kind of ringing effect to the strings while you're playing. So that's the C major to the G major. And I already talked about like how I decided to take the B out of it, because technically this B note is supposed to be in the C major chord. But I took that out of it because I wanted, I don't know, it's hard to describe. I kind of wanted like a lower sound happening. So, well, hello, T-R-O-U-B-L-E. Right? And I wanted to simplify the chords. I know it's already a super simple song, but like when you have, for instance, this G major position, you have these two open strings in the middle of it, and when they ring out, it just offers a different kind of frequency that happens in the music, and so I decided that I wanted it more controlled, and in order to do that, an easier way to do that is to do what's called a bar chord. With that, I can do a quick mute, and or I can control the amount that it rings out. So like if I decide I want it to ring out forever, I just keep my hand there. Or if I wanted to like have it sustain but like stop at a certain point, I can just lift my finger on the bar chord and just silence it. And I barely have to move. Whereas if I did it like this, I'd have to like move my hand or palm mute it with my right hand. All of which is totally okay, but personal preference, not what I wanted to do. And then I decided to take that 4 count of the D major chord and the C major chord and the G major chord that you do in the verse. But again, we're doing the strumming, so the sound kind of like rings out a bit. And instead I decided to bring the D major chord up here, go to the C major chord, go to the G major chord. That's because it has a more, for the listener at least, it has a more obvious descending quality to it, whereas this also has that same musical descending quality, but there's a lot of ringing open notes. So and these two, this is the D string and the G string. They ring open a lot when you do these kind of like open chords up at the top. And sometimes they ring out so much that they take over the chord a little bit and the listener's ear hears that. So if you want a more controlled and I guess constrained is the word, sound. So this is the D major chord, C major chord, and the G major chord. And it's just, the listener's ear just follows the melody line down, which is what happens in the chorus during that part. Tell me what in the world you're doing there, knowing me. So yeah, those are some tips and tricks. I'm really just kind of following the melody line is how I'm figuring out like where I want to do the positions and how I want to follow them down. And if that works for you, cool. And I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please hit the like button. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And if you didn't like what you see, come back later. Maybe I'll have something you do like. I'll probably do some more of these practice tips and tricks. And if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. And I hope you like what you saw.